Hey, this is Dan.
And this is Reed Isbell.
And we're the hosts of the podcast God's Country.
Check out our latest episode with our good old buddy, Luke Combs.
Yeah, I know you saw him on Grammys performing Fast Car with Tracy Chapman.
But did you know he once ran the go-karts at Asheville Fun Depot?
You can get 7 minutes out there, absolutely no bumping.
Definitely listen to this episode. If you like liver mush, gross.
If it was called Breakfast Delight, you'd be like, that sounds pretty cool.
I would try that. Listen to God's Country on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
Imagine you ask two people the same 7 questions. I'm Minnie Driver, and this was the idea I set out to explore in my podcast, Mini Questions. This year, we bring a whole new group of guests to answer the same 7 questions, including Courtney Cox, Rob Delaney, Liz Fair, and many, many more. Join me on Season 3 of Mini Questions on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. 7 questions, limitless answers.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and we're back with a new season of my podcast. This season will be even more revealing and more personal, with more entrepreneurs, more live events, and more questions from you. I'm talking to my cosmetic dermatologist, Dr. Dan Belkin, about the secrets behind my skincare. Encore Jane about creating a billion-dollar startup. Walter Isaacson about the geniuses who changed the world. Listen and subscribe to the Martha Stewart Podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. And once again, TJ has to start the podcast. Rose, we do this every single time. Everybody in the room knows, our producers, every single time. Right before we come on. You want me to start? You want to start? You start.
Why do you ask me? You always know the answer is going to be the same.
No, there's going to be one day you have something you're dying to say, and you're going to want to start. But today's not the day. You got anything? Top of your brain, on your heart, on your mind right now. You just want people to know. Tell them right now, Robes. Give it to them. Nothing. See?
That is so much pressure.
No, just say it. Just say it. Speak from the heart. Right now, just say it.
What?
Just say anything.
Say what?
Say the thing that's on your mind and on your
You're
heart.
You're a lot
she
today.
Loves Bush.
Yeah.
You had to be bailed out.
That's amazing.
Our guest had to bail you out.
You know what's funny is that, and I cannot wait to introduce our guest, but it is funny. The other day, we were saying,
yes,
I was saying that I can tell what mood you're in the moment you wake up and I know how the day is going to go.
Yes.
And then I said, do I have moods? Like, what are my moods? And you said, no, you have levels.
You do. You're either way up here or down there. There is no.
You have a level today.
I do?
Yeah,
What
it's
is
10.
What is it?
It's
You
10.
like it?
Yes.
It's
You've
not
been
going well?
extra today. Extra salty.
Don't.
Emma and Andy laughed because they were here before our guest came in, and they heard you were a lot. And you know what? I enjoy it. I embrace it. I love to have a lot to work with here. So,
and our guest is Gavin Rossdale, of course, the lead singer of Bush. He had to bail you out.
I mean, he said something better than I could have come up with. So I am happy to defer to the one and only Gavin Rossdale.
But you know, the thing we do want to, of course, we're going to be talking to Gavin. They've got a new tour that's coming up. We're talking about Bush and parenting and relationships and Instagram official and all kinds of stuff to get into.
We got a lot of things in common, Gavin, just letting you know.
But you remember Justice? You talked to him the other night. You know exactly who I'm talking about, Justice Jones. And we didn't plan on doing this, and I didn't plan on doing this before we started. But Justice Jones is somebody I wish a lot of people would get to know. He was at an event we did the other night. And you remember what you called him? It was the most apt description of this brother that I've ever heard. You called him a black angel.
Yes.
You said in talking to him, he had an aura about him, and he was a black angel. And who we're talking about here is Justice Jones, who's somebody I did a special with, a television special talking about black men. But he is a member of the LGBTQ plus community.
Correct.
But he came to an event of ours, and what I don't know, Robes, the best way to describe what this event was, and it meant to us. We'd been talking about it a little bit here, but it was our first time in about a year and a half, the two of us being in front of a live audience and fielding questions.
Right. And obviously anyone who's been listening with us knows that we were in hiding for a year and a half, and speaking in front of a live audience was nothing new. This is something we'd spent nearly 3 decades doing, and something, honestly, we could wake up and do and not have any fear, no nerves, nothing. But when you take a year and a half off of this and you're actually in hiding, to then reemerge and have 200 people in front of you, some of them were friends and family, which was great, but also intimidating. And then the rest were basically complete strangers. And we were putting ourselves out there where they could ask us anything. And we got, I don't even think we were prepared to be as nervous as we were and then as emotional as we got when we were talking, because it was a moment for us, a reemergence and a reunion for a lot of us. But when we told our story and we had some themes, and among the themes was shame. And we talked about going for it, but the shame part of it was something that we were hoping would connect with a lot of people. But
and it
did. And when Justice stood up during the Q&A portion, and we didn't know he was in the audience. No. You didn't even know he was sitting back there.
I had no idea he was there. And again, Justice Jones is someone who was, I did a special, I had a panel discussion with black men from different industries, different backgrounds, and he was up there as a member of the LGBTQ plus community. He happened to be at this event the other night, and he stood up, and as much as you and I have talked, and as much as you and I have gone round and round and thoughts about everything that we went through the past year and a half, he made a point to us that we hadn't even thought about.
It's true. He is a black queer man from Omaha, Nebraska.
There it is.
And so he stood up and said, have you ever, hearing your story, have you all heard from your queer friends, anyone who was in a position where their love, their relationship was considered immoral? And there was shame that went along with, warranted or not, your love, your relationship. And he said, I guarantee you there are queer people in this audience and people in your lives and people out there who are listening to you, who are feeling you, who will feel connected to you, who your story is resonating with. And he asked, had we ever thought about that or considered that? And no, but it was such a light bulb went off, because this isn't something unique to us. And it's something that so many people have lived through and are living through right now. And we just didn't realize that something that we were talking about could affect or impact or at least make a difference with so many others who don't feel as alone.
So I want to say thank you to Justice.
Yeah.
And we want to say thank you to a lot of people in our audience, certainly friends and family who were in the audience, but folks who just took the time to show up and to listen and to ask questions and to interact. And we just had a good time, and it was an important part of our journey to get back out there in front of a live audience. We do hope to possibly, we hope to share that with you. I think the audio is floating around somewhere from that event. So we do hope to share that with you at some point, but we just wanted to say thank yous to a lot of people, including Soho House, for having us. And the people who were in the audience. That was a really big night.
Yeah, it was really cool to get something back from the audience, to learn something from them as we were sharing our story. So we hope that continues and we get to do more of that in the future.
Okay, and we were talking music earlier. There's a thing, folks, that anytime I'm coming to Robach's place, I will send a text as I'm getting through the park, as I'm coming in the building. Then the last one she'll get says, in the elevator. And then she'll prop open her door. And then the elevator opens. I get off on her floor and I hear music playing. And oftentimes it's not music I'm that keen on. I don't love. We like the same music, but when we start to split a little bit into our specific lanes, you like still some of that music that goes more into my lane. I am not as wild about some of the music going into your lane.
Very kind way to put it.
Well, the yacht rock and some of that stuff is not my lane.
Yeah, I honestly like pretty much all genres of music except for EDM.
Okay, that's fair.
But I like it all.
Okay.
And it's amazing to me. I know you don't like it, so when I hear you coming in, I quickly turn it off or turn it down. Sometimes not in time, though.
No, she does not get there in time, guys. She doesn't. But so it had us thinking that we were talking the back in the day, and you talk about your college days, and we were talking about, and as we were researching and getting ready to have Gavin Rossdale as a guest, man, you were back in college just like that.
Like absolutely.
You were back in college.
Absolutely, Bush. Gavin was my college days. 100% grunge. I mean, I was explaining to the young folk here in the room, like, I wore my dad's jeans from the 70s, had a flannel shirt on, had a smoky eye, a messy hair.
What's a smoky eye?
it's like black eyeliner. Like you're kind of like grunging it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got so excited replaying all of the music that I love. And we had a long discussion about the song Glycerine here before Gavin came in. But and yes.
That discussion went a direction I didn't know was going to go, Gavin.
It involves suppositories. But I did read up about some of the background. Usually it's relationships that fuel a lot of lyrics, but apparently you had some other influences with some of your lyrics, right? With Glycerine?
Was there some weird suppository-laden inspiration for glycerine? No. No. Nitroglycerine. That makes you blow up. People thought it was soap and different things over the years. Anyway, what an intro. I was going to say, shame is a bit like the flavor profile of bitter. People underestimate it. And what, as a lyricist and someone who's lived in the world and gone through plenty of stuff, obviously, it's wild because the further you go inside yourself and the more honest you become. So by going up on stage and putting yourselves out there and sort of leaving yourself open to really quite vulnerable, there's something so brave and so human about that. And when you go inside yourself and you find language and you're discussing things or landscapes that are quite difficult and maybe have shame within them, I think the most powerful thing about it, from my perspective hearing that, the first thing I thought was like, the reason it resonates is because everybody feels that. And the reason that it's so powerful is because it's such a human condition, and it's a condition that's not investigated enough. Much like the taste of bitter, it's a really useful chicory in a dish is a useful thing, so it's a beautiful thing you must have done. So well done.
No, there were so many things we planned to talk to you about, but you picked up immediately on that idea of shame. Mm-hmm. Where has that shown up in your, because we talk about a public shaming, right? Sometimes if that's a tabloid talking about you, but there's a private shame that we all feel and share. Where did that show up in your life and career?
My clearest, simplest shame is just like that you have an ideal. I came from, my parents were both married 3 times each. Wow. It was a sort of very colorful background. And so I never thought I'd ever get divorced. So if there's a simple shame in my life, it's that I think that there's no accidents in life and you are where you're meant to be. So I don't live in regret. I don't do the, what's that thing, twister. If I had done this, if I'd done that. Life just unfolds how it should. And whether that's comfortable or uncomfortable, it just is what it is. And it's an easier philosophy to live by because it means you just don't sit in regret. But the biggest thing would be sometimes I wish that when you see the kids, that sometimes there's a loss. It'd be nice if there was a sort of a more connection with the person who made them with me. Yep. Do you know what I mean? So that side of it, and I think that when so I feel bad for my kids. That's it. That's the overriding thing. The rest of it is like, it comes with the territory, and there's been sort of other things, but that's the most profound. If I could be the most honest, that would be the most profound thing of like, wish I could have just figured out a way to not have that in their lives. It wasn't fun for me to be from a broken home, so I think in a way it gave me a career. So I don't mind because I turned it around into sort of an interesting career path, but it can be quite debilitating for kids, as you know. Yeah. So it's just that aspect of it, not the adult aspect of it, because that it's his own stratosphere of discussion and whatever, and it's some shameful things in there to an extent, but the overriding thing is just like, you don't want to let your kids down. And that's the funny thing people say to me when I first had kids, so have you written any songs about your kids? And I'd be like, oh my God, what a terrible idea. I said, the only thing that I do, but the criteria would be to make it, and especially now, because my kids, like my boys, are like 17, 15 and 10, it's just to not suck. Yeah. And to be good at your job, so that when they hold you up, like my friends, my boys, I want them to be able to play their friends to like the records and think it's cool. I don't want to sort of taper off and start making really mediocre records that don't have any effect, because I just would be so. It's just like any of my kids liking my music is like I said about the likable thing about you want the kids to be likable. I really want to like my stuff. Like if they came to my show, they're like, "Oh, poor old dad. Nice guy, can cook a nice omelette, but how long with the singing? I don't know." So I just like the idea of doing the job well. And you guys are great at what you do, so I'm sure your kids are very proud of you.
But did you ever write a song? Is there any song you've ever written for your kids? Any lyrics, even unreleased? Is there anything you ever wrote?
No.
Wow.
No. Huh? No, I mean, because it's funny. No. Not into it. It just doesn't seem right.
That's fair.
I'm sure I'm sure the songs you could like tell me of like, oh, that was written about someone's, I know what's the I suppose there's some Lennon McCartney, Hey Jude, right? Hey Jude is the greatest about a kid song ever, but that was so good that no one needed to do one after that.
Yeah.
Basically, they did it. Tick. So, it just seems too soft. No, I haven't done it yet.
It's interesting too because you talked about regret and sometimes the discomfort of life and shame and all of that, and no one wants their kids to feel that based on your choices, right? They're byproducts of the pain that you have in some way contributed to, and you're in a safe space here because obviously we've been through this. We've very much said we've got 4 marriages between us. So this isn't anything that anybody wants to expose their children to.
And it's 2 and 2. We should
it's
be clear.
It's 2 and 2, right?
We're even on the marriage.
Right.
Hey, this is Dan.
And this is Reed Isbell, also known as the Brothers Hunt.
And we're the hosts of the podcast God's Country, produced by Meat Eater and iHeart Podcast.
Y'all should check out our latest episode with our good old buddy, Luke Combs.
Yeah, I know you saw him on the Grammys performing Fast Car with Tracy Chapman.
So that was really cool, man. And I feel like we just connected on that call. And then she agreed to do it. A few weeks later, she agreed to do it.
But did you know he once ran the go-karts at Asheville Fun Depot?
You can get 7 minutes out there. Absolutely no bumping. Keep your hands in.
Wait, we can't bump?
Can't bump.
But why is there a bumper on the car?
No, you can bump if you want to.
You said we can't bump.
Right. If you do, I'm going to kick you off.
And you should also definitely listen to this episode if you like liver mush. Gross.
Or if you hate liver mush.
There's a town in North Carolina that has a liver mush festival. It's that popular.
Why have we not been to that?
I don't know.
That sounds like
why am I not headlining it?
Listen to God's Country on the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
If you've been following the news, you know that from healthcare access to safe schools, LGBTQ plus rights are under attack. And it's about time queer and trans youth get the microphone and tell their stories in their own words.
We can kiss every woman's face goodbye.
I'm Raquel Willis. Join me on my new podcast, Queer Chronicles, a show where LGBTQ plus folks tell their own stories in their own words. This season, teens will share all about growing up in political battleground states.
I wish I could feel more comfortable in my own body here, but that's just not the case.
And follow along as they discover what queer and trans liberation means to them.
This isn't running away from yourself. It's running into who you want to grow into.
Listen to Queer Chronicles on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your most fabulous shows.
If you want to level up your marketing and business knowledge, then look no further than the Marketing School podcast hosted by Neil Patel and yours truly, Eric Sue. It is the #1 marketing podcast in the United States and number 15 on business in the United States. And it has amazing guests such as Alex Hormozi, Layla Hormozi, Cody Sanchez. We pull in these amazing interviews with other people that are not only great marketers, but actual operators. And the icing on the cake is Neil and myself were also operators as well. So we share learnings from the trenches. We share secrets that we otherwise wouldn't be sharing with other people. And we also share other advantages that will help you get ahead of your competition. So all you have to do is listen to Marketing School every weekday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you watched your children grow through it and because of it, because it's only when we're uncomfortable that we do change, we do evolve. I mean, if everything was great and comfortable, we'd all stay the same. We wouldn't.
Right.
Did you ever see?
We're all learning the sedentary lives.
Right.
You guys run. You're running from a lot. You guys are like running every day.
That's true.
At least 2 miles. You're running from something.
Or someone sometimes.
All
yeah.
of us. I run on a tennis court side to side. I don't know what I'm running from. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's just a physical thing. I'm joking. Well, there's something to be said for the adversity. The most beautiful thing I think of is that my kids, they spend a week with me and it's split really evenly. So it's done to the numbers, half. If I'm on tour, then it's a bit difficult, or if she goes away, it's a bit difficult, or you get extended time. But generally, the rule of thumb is a week on, week off. And the most beautiful thing is that they all travel together. They're always together. So the most consistent thing they've had in their lives in the last 7 years is each other, which I find it warms my heart, because it's like where I've sort of let them down, that shame thing, it is kind of letting them down, saying, sorry, that didn't work out, therefore we're not going to live together the whole time, which is really what they want, And it's a terrible thing to go through. But the strength they get from each other is really special. And so that's why I'm like, tell the eldest one, like, stop ignoring the 2 younger ones, like, let them be with you. Don't be too on your own thing, doing your own thing with your door shut, include them, involve them. And so it gives them a bond. I do think that we've got a culture where it's funny, I came from a crazy broken home my mum left when I was 12, and I just lived with my dad. And just then, as in England, and it makes me like, I feel a bit bad for that kid, because it's like the most terrible things that happen to you, and there was no mental health. So you're just like, stiff upper lip, okay, off to school, you'll be right. And it's like, my world just ended, like what's happening. So
carry on.
So now there's so much support that, in a perverse way, and I don't mean this intentionally, but I think that when they understand that life is full of dramatic nuances and situations that aren't resolved overnight, and situations where people disconnect, it's just the way that it is. And if you can do it in a sort of a humane and a human way, and in a sort of a way they don't feel too isolated, it does show them that, because there's a danger in this, we make it so perfect for these kids that they leave when I was married, because we lived in one of those like gated communities. I'd never been to one of those places. It's like a street, but not. It's so stupid. It's like you're growing up, but you're not. And you're in a house, but it's just so removed from reality to an extent that I'm not advocating it, but adversity, as you said, does bring about it allows character to come through, and all my boys have shown great. They're used to it now. It's been 7 years, but it was difficult at first for them, for sure, especially for the old one who knew more, But just make I can only do my bit, and my bit is like, just give them what they need, be super present, go to every sort of thing, every training, every football, every basketball, every flag football, soccer, just everything, and film it all, and try and send them notes with advice, but they don't want my advice.
Man, how do you look? We are obviously, Gavin. We are. It's really cool to hear about the tour, the Greatest Hits tour with the new album. You all are starting this summer on the tour, and we didn't expect to have this kind of a little therapy session with you now. But you have actually said a few things that just jumped out at me and that you just went right into. And I will, to a certain degree, ask you for some personal advice. But I think a lot of people who are listening to you are dealing with what you dealt with. Meaning, you said that. You said, I didn't want to let them down. You let them down because the relationship didn't work out. You don't want to be divorced. You don't want that house to be split up. But for whatever reason that came about, how do you then deal with moving forward? Like, you might be in a healthier or better place. You might be a better dad even than you were in the marriage. But how do you find a way to reconcile that? Or have you even, when you're balancing letting them down with what might be best for you or your health or your future. How do you balance that with the kids and even get to a place where they might be healthy and happy, or even healthier and happier now because of what all of you, the whole family's gone through?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. You know, as with everything, I think that when things seem so momentous and mountain-like and just exhaustingly massive in a terrain, you're like, oh my God, how do we navigate this? And it really is that that one day at a time, that one step at a time. And it's I find that the presence is the most important thing. You know, kids spell love Time, you know, and it really is about no delegation, not really about other people coming in. It's about as much presence as you can give your kids, because I think that's the most powerful gift. Because when we think about it, we're all so wrapped up in our lives, work, there's pressures of work, different things. You try and maintain friendships, relationships, love relationships, whatever. But it's just so difficult because everyone's so scattered and fragmented, and it's really easy to just set your kids up with there's your iPad, you'll be fine, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to make a phone call, now you're cool. And really nothing can replace that time together. Now, kids don't always want that time together, and for me, what they want from me is to be in the house like an anchor, a buoy in the center of the ocean. Yes. They can like run off and do things. Because when they come home and I haven't seen them for a week, I'm at the door like, yeah. They come in, they give me a big hug, and then they all disappear like rats on a ship. They go away, and I'm like, okay, so everyone's back. Is anybody hungry? Is anybody want anything? I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs, and everyone's talking to me around corners of their rooms and this and that. And but that giving and that presence, like I don't really work. I work much harder when they're not with me, and I work in the days when they're at school. So I try and get stuff done. So when they're around, I really am around, and I'm really like, does anybody want to throw a ball? Because we have a deal. If they haven't got homework, if they've ever wanted to throughout their lives do anything, I'm an art jock, right? So you guys love running. I love running as well, but I like doing it following a ball because I'm a dog. So it's like I'm happy like Rover when you throw me a ball, and I just like to be around, you know. So that we have a deal that I will do any physical ball throwing, anything they want, working out, anything I'll do, unless there's they're meant to go to school or something. So there's always like, I'm always waiting to be, but now they've really got into music. So we spoke about that a bit earlier before we came on air. It wasn't my idea. I just have lots of guitars everywhere. So the 10-year-old's been taking piano lessons like 2 months. He's really good. Like he plays little Mozart pieces. He knows about 4 things, and he plays them really well. And so now what happens? I'm sitting in my studio, and they come home from school, and I'm literally playing in my studio, but I'm thinking something out. And the little one comes in, he starts playing piano. So I'm like, I put the guitar down. He plays for a bit, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go and get something to eat. I said, okay. So I go back to, the other one comes in, Dad, can I just borrow that guitar lead? And he gets a slide out. So I want to try this slide out. So I'm just like, I'm going to go downstairs and make dinner. Okay, you guys have the studio. So, yeah. Presence is the key, I would think. It seems to work for me because they just feel so solid. They just like my 10-year-old he still lives with me. We still share the bedroom. He's Aww. Like, well, some people say they shouldn't do that, but up until they're about 11 or 12, they've always like everyone's just like it just hangs out. It feels more like wolf-like. It feels like a pack, and so I love that. It's great. That's cool.
TJ was laughing too because he knows I have my 17-year-old still living with me, and so yes, it's like I have to like go to her room. She'll peek her head out. I'm like begging her to spend time with me. It's very funny, but they want to know you're there. That is true. I love that. Yeah. So what do you do when you go back out on tour like you do? Like how do you have to adjust your life, and how do you kind of take on such a project like that? How many, you're going to be gone for 3 months?
Yeah, but it's through the summer, so they'll come out and see me a week into it when I go to up in Salt Lake. So they fly 2 hours to Utah, and they come for 2 weeks on the bus.
Oh, great.
And so they love that, and they live that life. They eat cheeseburgers. It's all room service and messing around and watching some of the shows and helping. So it is really hard, but it's really simple. I say to them, when you stop liking sushi, I don't have to go on tour so much. You know what I mean? You figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
You figure it out. There is a balance. You guys got to figure this out. I go on tour, so we have this beautiful life. And as a father, same as a mother, we have to show them their values and working hard. I mean, I'm proud. My dad was a real workaholic. He worked real hard, and I was always like just amazed by him, just as his like dedication. And we used to live in a little house, and I'd be like, Dad, do you ever think about this wall? There's like a small wall of about outside the front door. So those little kind of townhousey things, like things in England. And I'd be like, isn't it amazing? This is your wall. Isn't that exciting? That's so exciting. These are your bricks. And so now I kind of have that with a house I live in. I know that it's like, it's all music. I look around and it's music. There's music that gets me everything I got. So it's important they understand that we have this ridiculous life, and it's got to come from somewhere. Oh, Dad, why are you going on tour again? What are you talking about? There are reasons. You got to figure it out. But it's all right. And I love it. It's also, you can't get lost in having kids. I think it's good to, some people, a vocation is to have kids, and wonderful. Predominantly mothers are a bit like that, I think. Some mothers are so maternal. Then other mothers are work people who had kids. It's a big, big difference. Don't want to stay at home. Set everything up so that it's not like the kids aren't looked after, but they're not with a mum. So it's like I'm a dude, so of course I just was like, yeah, babe, of course we're going to have kids. I can't wait either. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. I was just agreeing.
That's the only answer.
I was agreeing. Of course,
right,
I was agreeing because it's like natural process of life. And they're the greatest things ever. But it's good for them to know that there is sacrifice, and you got to put that time in, and it's just not easy, And so when I'm on tour, it's difficult. I spend the days, sometimes specifically like secondary or tertiary markets, because I'm a bit bougie. So when I'm in New York, I can be like, oh God, I'm going to go to, Cipriani or something like that for lunch. But when you're in like Fremont, Ohio, you're like, oh, I really miss my kids. This is really bad. I don't do it. North Dakota, walking around looking for an IHOP.
I was looking for a Cracker Barrel. Yeah.
Applebee's is a step up. Thank God, the blooming onion.
That's amazing.
So, but then I go. Then at night, I go on stage, and there's a roar of the crowd, and I'm like, this is what I love. I love my life. And at 4 a.m. I go to bed, and I wake up at 11. I go, oh my God, my life. Where's my kids? And I call the kids, and where are you? What are you doing? They're like, Dad, I'm in math class. Leave me alone.
But in your private moments, how do you balance that? That that they have a life that most kids in this country cannot even imagine, right? But then you lost so much, right? So many of those kids that don't have what your kids have. Mm-hmm. Well, their parents were at that game. Their parents were at this event. Their parents were, like, how in your private moments, on your own, looking in the mirror, how do you reconcile what you're missing with what you're providing?
I go to a lot of events where there's the other team, so to speak, and I just know that I just feel really proud of myself in my consistency as a father. I know in my heart
that's awesome
that I'm super consistent. Yeah, of course, like everyone, I'm flawed as hell, and things didn't go as perfect as I would have liked. But I know that, some people will be a parent who will live in regret and consider that actually they could have done a way better job. Like on my touring level, it doesn't look good on paper when I've been away for months at a time. It's worse when I go to Europe, because then you are gone, they can't see you. So 6 weeks is like the longest ever. And there's a terrible feeling of that. But I know that, there's an intrinsic bond that's so strong and so present that I have a lot of pride with that. Like it's unwavering. There's nothing that can, I'm not vulnerable with, you didn't spend any time with your kids, or you chose, like I've never been on a vacation without my kids. 17 years. I've never had a vacation without them. Now, after I got divorced, I should have had lots of vacations with lots of new friends. And I didn't, because I wouldn't do that. I felt really weird about that. So everything's about them for me, and so I know that. And they feel that.
That's beautifully said. And you're sitting in front of two people who deal with that. And again, I'm asking so many questions. Like I should be paying you like $400
We're actually getting advice from you.
Yeah, we are. We deal with that a lot for people who've had the careers we've had. The guilt is often there for being gone.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then also to have it all be in the public eye. So everything you do, everything you don't do, everything you say gets picked up. I mean, I was looking, it was everywhere a year ago. You just talked about what it's like to co-parent or to not co-parent with your ex. We obviously are living in all of these same worlds as you. However, when you say something, it then gets picked up by everyone, which
Some people said I don't co-parent whatsoever.
Yeah, you said you don't co-parent. You said you just parent. Right.
Parent.
Are you surprised? And how do your kids handle when you just say something and you're being honest? And it's something that so many of us can relate to.
My situation particularly was mindful of, I think, in a very contentious, hugely emotional, flared up situation with a very difficult situation. Less said, soonest mended, and I said nothing. It's not my place to say anything, because I also can't. I'm handcuffed because I would never want to overly say anything negative about their mom or stuff like that. It's just not right. So I just don't. I just had to kind of just take it and just be present for my kids and just like be English and just like hold your head up and just keep walking and just try and be just. Has it gone away yet? Not yet. No, okay. Has it gone away yet?
Not yet. It takes so long for it to go away, right? That's what's been so shocking. Why doesn't it just go away quicker?
And it seemed a very, yeah. So I think like everything balances out and people make their, and I was obviously thinking coming on here and all I could think of was the kind of the narrative drone. I wanted to write a song so bad called Narrative Drones, because I think it's so interesting that people are much more interested in the narrative than the truth.
Wow.
And the truth is not interesting or fun or anything like that. So the narrative was that narrative drones.
Where are you on that song? How are the lyrics?
Wow, because
how does it go?
I'd like to download that right now.
It's really upbeat. And it's not EDM, okay?
Thank God.
Two qualities.
We've dealt with a lot of narratives and a lot of drones even.
Oh, we've hit both. And yes, I like the idea of
combining. It's a phrase that just lives with me. It's percolating in my brain.
Oh, wow.
So, it just comes down to, it comes down to, I think, something to do with how you want to see yourself in 5 years in your relationship with your kids. And who do you want to be? Like, they're not going to come to me and say, why you shouldn't have said this. Why do there's nothing, I would not get into it, was not drawn into it. So that I could maintain a really crisp, clear vibe with my boys and take it from there. And just, life is complicated. And when you've been around as long as we have, it just, the complications arise. That's it. It's that simple. If we all had a life expectancy of 32 in medieval times, we would have been like left mint. That's it. Nothing happened. Goodbye, perfection.
Hey, this is Dan.
And this is Reed Isbell, also known as the Brothers Hunt.
And we're the hosts of the podcast God's Country, produced by Meat Eater and iHeart Podcasts.
Y'all should check out our latest episode with our good old buddy, Luke Combs.
Yeah, I know you saw him on the Grammys performing Fast Car with Tracy Chapman.
So that was really cool, man. And I feel like we just connected on that call. And then she agreed to do it. A few weeks later, she agreed to do it.
But did you know he once ran the go-karts at Asheville Fun Depot?
You can get 7 minutes out there. Absolutely no bumping. Keep your hands in.
Wait, we can't bump?
Boo. Can't bump.
But why is there a bumper on the car?
No, you can bump if you want to.
You said we can't bump.
Right. If you do, I'm going to kick you off.
And you should also definitely listen to this episode if you like liver mush. Gross.
Or if you hate liver mush.
There's a town in North Carolina that has a liver mush festival. It's that popular.
Why have we not been to that?
I don't know.
That sounds like
why am I not headlining it?
Listen to God's Country on the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
If you want to level up your marketing and business knowledge, then look no further than the Marketing School podcast hosted by Neil Patel and yours truly, Eric Sue. It is the #1 marketing podcast in the United States and number 15 on business in the United States. And it has amazing guests such as Alex Hormozi, Layla Hormozi, Cody Sanchez. We pull in these amazing interviews with other people that are not only great marketers, but actual operators. And the icing on the cake is Neil and myself were also operators as well. So we share learnings from the trenches. We share secrets that we otherwise wouldn't be sharing with other people. And we also share other advantages that will help you get ahead of your competition. So all you have to do is listen to Marketing School every weekday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you've been following the news, you know that from healthcare access to safe schools, LGBTQ plus rights are under attack. And it's about time queer and trans youth get the microphone and tell their stories in their own words.
We can kiss every woman's face goodbye.
I'm Raquel Willis. Join me on my new podcast, Queer Chronicles, a show where LGBTQ plus folks tell their own stories in their own words. This season, teens will share all about growing up in political battleground states.
I wish I could feel more comfortable in my own body here, but that's just not the case.
And follow along as they discover what queer and trans liberation means to them.
This isn't running away from yourself. It's running into who you want to grow into.
Listen to Queer Chronicles on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your most fabulous shows.
TJ likes to tell people when he's talking, he's like, if anyone here is over the age of 35, you'll know exactly what I mean. Because it kind of takes you to get to that place in your life where you realize, wow, maybe I shouldn't be so righteous. Maybe I shouldn't be judging people. Because actually, you don't know what you would do given the circumstances other people are in until you find yourself in it.
Yeah.
What is it like being a rock star in his 20s versus a rock star in his 50s?
It was so exciting to begin with. It still is super exciting. Don't get me wrong. The weirdest thing was I took a long time to get going, a long time to find success. And so people would say, like, how does it feel? And it really felt like finally I could be myself. Like I knew that I was meant to, I had some, not up in the upper echelons maybe, but like I knew that I deserved somewhere in the landscape of music. It's like I have something to contribute. And so that just felt like, oh, fine, this is great. This is how it should have been. It's just exciting. And now I don't, it feels weird saying that, even though I'm trying to work on I've got a TV show that I'm working on, and the backers wanted to use the name Rockstar in it. I was like, oh, no, wait. I'm English. I can't use the word Rockstar. You can say Rockstar about me, but I can't say that. That's just, in England, that's just not, it's just too much.
Really? Why is that?
Just because we're like weird like that. We're just not allowed to say, you can't say anything, you get stepped on if you move out of line, if you're too loud, obnoxious, too confident.
There's no such thing as a humble brag.
No, it's just, anyway, so actually, but I turned into Rockstar Kitchen Chronicles because I was trying to use the word rockstar. But so I think of myself as a working musician more than I think there's it's beautiful. I think of Van Morrison, someone who's made records forever and he does his thing and his own vibe and his, he's just an example. I don't know why, but he's an example. So he's like is he a rock star or is he a working musician? He's just like a brilliant working musician to me. I think maybe a rock star feels like, but it's Mick Jagger. He's probably a rock star, right?
Gavin, you're a rock star. What are we talking about? You're a rock star.
Well, thank you.
What the hell are we talking about here?
Nuances of language. Semantics. Semantics is where we're at. But I feel really so happy to be in a creative endeavor. I love the Japanese culture, that thing of you dedicate yourself to I'm going to make the best hand-pulled noodles that there are. Someone does that and you're like, wow. So I decided to take rock music for whatever reason And it's not the only music I like you, although unlike you, I also like EDM.
Okay.
There's maybe some areas of music I like, but basically it's good music and bad music, right?
Yeah,
so if people get it right,
true.
it's just good or bad. I just so thrilled to have a creative life where I do feel that I'm still like confused by music. I still take guitar lessons. I still have singing lessons at the moment. I've got a couple of things I'm working on. So, because you have to work at your craft. You can't just assume that, like, I do not know as much as I need to know. If I look at the Beatles or I look at Bowie or I look at Mozart, it's the same 12 notes, but look what they did with them. So it's like, wow, there's so much ceiling. I got a long way to go. If you think of it like that, you just could keep going forever. And you can keep getting more interesting and finding ways to do, my job is to take chaos or pain, because I like that vocation in my life, my métier, and I like human struggle, and find a way to put it into words. So chaos into music, it's turning chaos into music, and that's why people relate to your music. I think when someone connects to a song of mine or a song of Amy Winehouse or Billie Eilish, we've written. You write a words that resonate for people, and you don't own the song. If I write a song and I put it out, and you guys run in the mornings to it, that's your song. It ceases to be my song. It's yours. You got Stevie Wonder. You got me. It's like you feel that and that's why people get so personal about music, And that's my favorite sort of consequence of my life that I chose, is like figuring out how to write these things. And back to the thing of the shame, but it's to find not just the shame. The deep emotions are about being as personal as you can and away from everyone as you can, because that's when people relate to you the most. Because the deeper you go, that's where you get people, as opposed to sort of, around the peripheries, simple stuff, basic things. There's not going to get you as much as some of the just like, and it doesn't matter that whether specific words. It's just when you write a phrase as an author, whether it's on any level, with a paintbrush or with the words, if it comes from, if the genesis of the thought is like an authentic emotion, it will translate. It does. Like, I've done it for a long time.
You're like, it works.
And I swear it does. It's like when you just are like the most self-revelatory, the most vulnerable, the most open, that's when people are the most interested, because it's unusual for people to do that. And that's why people take those lyrics to heart. And that's why you can never say songs about anything, because they're about the listener. It's not about the writer. It's about the listener is the one who dictates what it's about.
Wow.
He knows that so well because he's a rock star.
Yeah, he is. He is. Yes.
Working musician.
A working musician. Music.
Multi-hyphenated.
Writing music, being a lyricist, that sounds like that's been your therapy in life.
Way through, yeah.
And you can't not be honest if you want to be successful, as you're, in order to connect.
Well, it doesn't ring true. And then the thing is, if you think about it, by not being honest, it's outside that sort of that well of vulnerability and truth. And so it doesn't ring right because it's not there yet. People haven't, if you think of acting, is acting putting on a mask or taking off a mask? It's taking off a mask, really. And the same with writing, same with authors, the same with painters, same with photographers. Just when they get the essence of something that you go, wow, and you just feel it. So a photographer, for example, can find a compelling image that works for him, and everything is light, form, everything is working. But then when you see it, it evokes something different for you. And that's even more valid than the artist, really.
Wow. How would you describe where you are in your life right now? Are you happy? Are you joyful? Are you struggling? Like, how would you describe where you are right now in your life?
Actively working on appreciating how happy I should be.
I need a second with that. I need a second. Well, okay. Actively, say it again. Okay, one more time. I get it this time.
Actively working on how happy I should be, and meaning that there's we have such great ways of sabotaging our headspaces. We're really good at it. There's no one like I've even been to shrinks where they tell me that I have a punitive superego is my psychiatric.
Punitive super.
Yeah, it's my new album title. Get ready, folks. We're going down deep. We're going down right into my lungs.
Are you still with this therapist?
No.
Okay.
I said to her I needed a break because I was droning myself out of like I was just doing myself in, and I was getting to the point where I was spending 2 hours. I had 2 hour sessions with this woman for a while, and I spent an hour 40 telling her why I didn't need therapy. Every time, every week, killed her, poor thing.
Okay, so what's your opinion about it now? Do you still okay?
No, my opinion about it now is that it's a constant. It's a constant, not a struggle because that it's not the right word. It's an act. I actively make sure that I separate things correctly. So what I mean by that is if you let anxiety or fear or the things that worry you the most in the middle of the night, if you let them dictate throughout your day, it just gets worse and worse. And so we all have different anxieties. Now you're talking about public speaking, you could have an anxiety that if I'm going to get up here, I'm just going to have Tourette's and I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to forget my point. I'm not going to be as funny as I was last night when I practiced my speech. And you can be filled with a whole world of doubt. But when you're going to get up there, generally speaking, because you're a professional and you're really good at your job, you're going to be fine. But as an example, if you were to let that anxiety run so heavily that it really did actually impact your performance, then that's when you haven't found that balance. And that balance is that's the thing of just maturity, self-reckoning, self-awareness, and just digging deep and being honest with yourself about things. And so I'm feeling really, I feel great because my kids are doing great. And I'm in a really good space, but sometimes I would tell myself the space is better than I was realizing, and because there are times when I get a bit down on myself about things because I have a punitive superego, so I'm always punishing myself first.
When are those times? How often does that happen?
Well, a lot. So I have to just. My favorite thing is there's this wonderful Maharaj, this great, and I just put it in a song as I'm a magpie. I'll read something and it goes into a song because I think it's worth sharing, and I love this Maharaj idea. I'm not my mind. The problem is my mind, but I am not my mind. And so it's the thing of separation. He's a guru. It's just like you separate yourself. I'm not my mind. That's my mind's problem. Why am I deciding to sit with my mind and tell me, just because my mind is all worried about it, let it be worried over there. I'm busy going over here. And it's really, really essential. And the most powerful superpower that I have that I'm happy to share with you is just to not take things personally. If you can not take things personally, I mean, for instance, with any kind of, it's so difficult for all of us, for both of our entities, so much publicly, and you take everything personally, like everything, you're like walking around like, I have no skin left. Where's my skin? I have no skin. And the truth is that if you don't take things personally and you just see, it's a juicy thing if things happen like that. I was juicy, you were juicy, as juicy fodder, that people chew it up, and then while we're still like floundering, going, help me, I'm bleeding, they're off worried about something else. They give you 4 minutes of their time, if that. Yes. They don't even remember. It's over. And so the crux of it is not taking stuff personally. It's amazing. You can float through life because worried about other people just drags you down.
I love it. I love the
total therapy.
It's so great. No, but we're laughing because we've been going through, I'm going to observe why I'm reacting that way, but I am not my mind. We've said the same thing, and I love
Tolle stuff, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. So you were speaking to us everything we've been living through, and I love the whole let them theory. Like, let them. Mm-hmm. I can't control them. I can't decide or tell them what to do. And when you just have that let them theory, it's been really peaceful and great.
Hey, this is Dan.
And this is Reed Isbell, also known as the Brothers Hunt.
And we're the hosts of the podcast God's Country, produced by Meat Eater and iHeart Podcast.
Y'all should check out our latest episode with our good old buddy, Luke Combs.
Yeah, I know you saw him on the Grammys performing Fast Car with Tracy Chapman.
So that was really cool, man. And I feel like we just connected on that call. And then she agreed to do it a few weeks later. She agreed to do it.
But did you know he once ran the go-karts at Asheville Fun Depot?
You can get 7 minutes out there. Absolutely no bumping. Keep your hands in.
Wait, we can't bump?
Can't bump.
But why is there a bumper on the car?
No, you can bump if you want to.
You said we can't bump.
Right. If you do, I'm going to kick you off.
And you should also definitely listen to this episode if you like liver mush. Gross.
Or if you hate liver mush.
There's a town in North Carolina that has a liver mush festival. It's that popular.
Why have we not been to that?
I don't know.
That sounds like
why am I not headlining it?
Listen to God's Country on the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
If you've been following the news, you know that from healthcare access to safe schools, LGBTQ plus rights are under attack. And it's about time queer and trans youth get the microphone and tell their stories in their own words.
We can kiss every woman's face goodbye.
I'm Raquel Willis. Join me on my new podcast, Queer Chronicles, a show where LGBTQ plus folks tell their own stories in their own words. This season, teens will share all about growing up in political battleground states.
I wish I could feel more comfortable in my own body here, but that's just not the case.
And follow along as they discover what queer and trans liberation means to them.
This isn't running away from yourself. It's running into who you want to grow into.
Listen to Queer Chronicles on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your most fabulous shows.
If you want to level up your marketing and business knowledge, then look no further than the Marketing School podcast hosted by Neil Patel and yours truly, Eric Sue. It is the #1 marketing podcast in the United States and number 15 on business in the United States. And it has amazing guests such as Alex Hormozi, Layla Hormozi, Cody Sanchez. We pull in these amazing interviews with other people that are not only great marketers, but actual operators. And the icing on the cake is Neil and myself were also operators as well. So we share learnings from the trenches. We share secrets that we otherwise wouldn't be sharing with other people. And we also share other advantages that will help you get ahead of your competition. So all you have to do is listen to Marketing School every weekday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I was reading up on you. You've been single. I even read you were on dating apps for a while, but now you actually a few weeks ago made something private Instagram official.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. I see. Well, I was thinking, I got called out at one point for being on Riot. I was like, that's the whole idea is meant to be private. Why do I get called out? I've seen loads of famous people on there. I never would say anything. It's so brilliant. I was like, great. It's just literally can't get away with anything.
It's a dating app for celebrities, right? Or for people who are who have like a blue check or whatever.
And you do see a lot of, I'm like, whoa, much in the way that I'm sure if I popped out there, people are like, whoa, this dude. I mean, that's just the way it was. I was like, I gotta check that one out, and it was really fun to check out. It didn't. I made a couple of really nice friends off of there. But outside of that, it's more sort of it's aspirational. You sort of start your morning going, oh, this would be great. I used to do it with Vogue magazine. My best friend and me, we used to play a game where you drop open Vogue magazine, and wherever it opened, that would be like, sorry, darling, I'll be late for dinner. I won't be home. There's like some beautiful girl. We'd be like so stupid, like 18 years old, unable to meet anyone that amazing, and just like we would be like make jokes about that. So it was a little bit of that. So, but yes. So
you're off the market now, though?
Yeah, I have a girlfriend right now.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
It's really it's fun. She's with me in New York, and
wow. Well, you didn't want to bring her in today? Where is she?
She's with her. Having lunch with her some friends. And she calls her gay bestie. Like, I'm worried in case we're not gay. It's like, it's all good. I'm not that insecure. I'm insecure about loads of things, but it's okay.
That's not one.
That's okay. Well, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a beautiful world. If that was the case, then go have at it. You know, it's like, people should be free, you know. Ain't got time for anyone who isn't free, you know. So...
But how long has this one been going? The relationship?
Like few months. I'm going to get in trouble if I'm not exact, but a good few months. And I was, it was an issue, not an issue, but definitely it was like.
He's being very careful right
yes,
now.
Yes, absolutely.
You can see his face.
Absolutely. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, which was. It was suggested that we, that it was, you know, because I'm a Scorpio, I'm really private. So I like a private life. I was like, look, this is so nice to have something private. It's not private? No, it's not private. Okay, it's not private. So I was okay with that. And I understand because it can come across, if you say that too often, it can come across like you're being a bit, I did see it from her point of view.
Yes, like maybe it's okay that I'm out in the open and we're out in the open and people know we're together.
Yeah.
It really does kind of put that official stamp on it.
Yeah. It's just, it's been really cute to let people know that, and just, she's very sweet and very supportive. So it's been really good, and it's, I guess it's my new status. You know, what are you going to do? I'm not on those sites. Not that site.
Wait, but did you all meet on the app?
No.
Okay.
I met through I met through her brother-in-law. She's a musician, so I heard a track. So I did do the kind of the kind of DM slide. I really like your music. I do like her music.
Oh, DM slide. Wow, I love it.
Sliding. I came in like a Kobe slider.
How quickly did she respond?
Excuse me?
How quickly did she respond to your DM?
She's super cool. She grew up in the Bronx, so she was like, it took a minute. You know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't immediate.
Smart.
It was like, she left me like, okay. But it's cool. It's kind of sweet because I had I didn't know if she had a boyfriend. I was texting her about music and this and that, and just leaving it at that. And then I wasn't looking to get a girlfriend at that point, but she was very pretty. So I was like, so anyway, your music and stuff like that. But I didn't. Then she went away somewhere, and then so it was sort of platonic for a bit. We had a couple of dates before it was looked like it was going to be anything like that personal. So yeah, it's been organic and nice, and it's fun, you know.
Everyone deserves to be happy, you know. I really believe that.
Well, yeah, it's that in a funny way it plays into it. I'm relaxing into it because I didn't know that I could do it all. Be the single dad who's like, when they come around, I'm heroically present for them. It makes it difficult. I'm not available for a week. You know, hi, I'm around for a week. I'm gone for a week. We're around for a week. It's quite difficult, and so just blending that and just being cool with that and not forcing that. You know, she has met my children.
Yeah, we know. I mean, like, we know. We get it. It's a dance, and you got to put the kids first.
Yep.
And it's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something that is an immediate acceptance, and you have to respect where they are.
There was a funny moment. I remember the story. So when I first was going in the DMs, and I made one comment about she looked a certain way, something she put on there, and it was like a wow, you know. I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. And I think she sent some kind of like millennium emoji, like a sort of like that. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. So I unfollowed, and then I thought I got it all wrong. I was like, I abandoned her. I was like, oh my God, she's got a boyfriend. I said something wrong. I was inappropriate. So I got out of Dodge and didn't connect with her for another 2 months or something.
Because she sent you an emoji you didn't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought I thought I'd crossed the line. I wasn't. I'd entered a room I wasn't invited in. You know, I turned it from music into sort of something that she looked really great, and it was this sort of thing like, so what? I was like, oh my God, she's from the Bronx. She's going to kill me. She's got something. So I was out of there. I was out.
Well, congrats there. Can't let you get out of here. For the fans, folks have been following you for decades at this point. You are. We talked about therapy. You going who you're talking to, and your therapist who did this and that. But how much is the music reconnecting with the band and getting back out there to perform again? How much of that is a part of your joy and your peace and your therapy these days?
Massive. Yeah. Because, like in a way, being in a long career is a bit like, I liken it to being on a carousel. Like you always have to be good. You always have to be making records that are cool. But sometimes it's just not your time. And sometimes it just, the way things go, it just doesn't, things don't line up because people underestimate that when you are successful, and I've had loads of success, the planets have to align. The team around you has to align. There's so many things that factor into being successful. So inevitably, there's sometimes where there are leaner times. And what's cool about us is that it's so funny because I was laughing since we divorced. After my divorce, I wrote this album called Black and White Rainbows. And it was a really bruised record. I was, it'd come out. It was not a good time for me. And there was someone that I'm just laughing because it's such a brilliant line. There was someone I was close to at the time, and I'm really proud of that record. I think there's a really cool few songs on there, but it was probably a bit uneven. I was really not in a good space. It was right after everything gone on, and she was off happily with someone, and I was not feeling good. And so I said to this person I was with, I said, I don't know, I was being dramatic. I have a tendency to be dramatic. Sometimes my girlfriend does say that to me.
No, we don't feel
she
that
goes,
about you at all.
I said, you know what? I don't even know I'm going to do another Bush record again because, I don't know if I can take it. And she goes, oh my God, you can't let that shitty one be the last one you do. I was like, oh my God, you can't say that. Whoa. So I was like, I'm going to make these records. So I've continued to make records that inspire me, and it's been so fun. And my favorite conundrum is we've had #1 records recently all over the radio, the last 3 records.
It's amazing.
#1 records and everything like that, which is really ridiculous because #1s in every decade for 3 decades. Wow. So we get young people at the audience who only know those songs. So they go, this band is cool, they've got a new single, there's some new band, whatever that. And then you go, here's Loaded, 30 years of hits, if you want to hear, sorry, I could be your dad, I might be your dad. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. I'm English, we joke. Bobby, my publicist, needs those defibrillator. They're not. Anyhow, but yeah. Where was I?
Yeah. Well, just putting out this kind of music
exciting
for a whole new just generation of people. And for those of us who knew you 30 years ago, we're so excited about getting to listen to all of our favorites. I mean, Grammy nominated, multi-platinum band. I mean, just the fact that you guys are still together is incredible. Does grunge...
We're still friends.
Right? And you're still friends. You're still playing music. You're still selling out stadiums. Does grunge exist anymore? Is that
I'm not
even
sure
a
it ever
genre?
did. It
ever did?
I'm not sure it ever did. I mean, I think that it was this thing of, for a moment, I think it's things for a moment, and then it just was of a time. And it's one of those words that just sort of, you say it so much, it just ceases to mean anything. Yeah. I don't know what.
Wait a second.
I mean, it's a funny word. It's a nice word. It's like more fashion oriented. I think of some bands, but it's a funny word. It's like...
Well, we are talking to the pioneer of grunge music who is telling us that grunge never existed.
Well, I don't know about that. There's a few before me doing the grunge thing.
Well, still, you were in that lane.
I was in that lane.
Yes, Nirvana, Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're not sure if it... I'm not sure what to do with that,
what I mean,
well, I don't know what to do with my life in the 90s.
I mean, like now the way that I approach music, and all my music is sort of detuned, and it's a specific approach. It's more, in fact, it's like heavy metal music with dub bass lines, and then me trying to sort of sing melodically on the top. It's a hodgepodge of things, and that's what makes it. That's how it goes. So all music is like weird influences coming. It's like a car crash that you hope's going to come out all beautiful at the end.
That's amazing.
This has been incredible. Yeah. This has been we anticipated that this was going to be a blast today. We did, man. We were trying to prep and all this.
It's just going to be an amazing conversation.
And it was, man. It is an absolute pleasure to have you here in studio, folks. Yes, Bush, the tour kicks off in July. You can get your tickets are on sale now.
Yeah. They've some have even sold.
And some are even sold out.
There's a few left.
You can still see them, Bush, getting back together for a summer big tour, and the new single from Gavin Rossdale, Narrative Drones, is going to be out when?
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, it's going to be very atonal, so it's not a single. I don't anticipate a single.
Okay.
It's going to be a D-side.
Congratulations on the tour, on bringing the band back together. Congratulations on your personal success, being an awesome dad, finding love again, all of that. And thank you for the therapy session. Just tell us how much we owe you at the end, what your hourly rate is.
As a gift. Thank you. I was happy to see you guys. I think what you guys have been through and you doing it is beautiful, because I was very, very careful to just stay the hell out of your way and not be any of those people who would be, I really learned to just be like, wow, there's some people going through stuff. But the overview and the way you are, the chemistry and the energy of you guys is inspiring.
Thank you.
So there you go. That's how it goes, folks.
Gavin Rossdale, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Dan.
And this is Reed Isbell.
And we're the hosts of the podcast God's Country.
Check out our latest episode with our good old buddy, Luke Combs.
Yeah, I know you saw him on the Grammys performing Fast Car with Tracy Chapman.
But did you know he once ran the go-karts at Asheville Fun Depot?
You get 7 minutes out there, absolutely no bumping.
Definitely listen to this episode. If you like liver mush, gross.
If it was called Breakfast Delight, you'd be like, that sounds pretty cool.
I would try that. Listen to God's Country on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
Imagine you ask two people the same 7 questions. I'm Minnie Driver, and this was the idea I set out to explore in my podcast, Mini Questions. This year, we bring a whole new group of guests to answer the same 7 questions, including Courtney Cox, Rob Delaney, Liz Fair, and many, many more. Join me on Season 3 of Mini Questions on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. 7 questions, limitless answers.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and we're back with a new season of my podcast. This season will be even more revealing and more personal, with more entrepreneurs, more live events, and more questions from you. I'm talking to my cosmetic dermatologist, Dr. Dan Belkin, about the secrets behind my skincare. Encore Jane about creating a $1 billion startup. Walter Isaacson about the geniuses who changed the world. Listen and subscribe to the Martha Stewart podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.